it's worth remembering that the Bible considers states, which in its time meant kingdoms, very perilous things. While they may be necessary to avoid chaos, they can easily become instruments of oppression. Kings are most dangerous when they view themselves as inherently holy and thus infallible, when they see themselves as gods. Many Jews treat a Jewish state the way the Bible feared Jewish monarchs would treat themselves, as a higher power, beholden to no external standard. Again and again, we are ordered to accept a Jewish state's right to exist. But the language is perverse. In Jewish tradition, states have no inherent value. States are not created in the image of God. Human beings are. States are mere instruments. They can protect human flourishing or they can destroy it. If they do the latter, they should be reconstituted to make them more respectful of human life. The legitimacy of a Jewish state, like the holiness of the Jewish people, is conditional on how it behaves. It is subject to law, not a law in and of itself. If you support a Jewish state no matter what it does to Palestinians, then you're treating it as infallible. I sometimes imagine asking the people who speak for our community a series of questions. How many Palestinians would Israel have to kill in Gaza before you urge the United States to stop sending it weapons? How many Palestinian prisoners would Israel have to torture and sexually abuse with impunity before you acknowledge the right of international courts to put Israeli leaders on trial? How long must West Bank Palestinians live under military law before you stop calling Israel a democracy? How many human rights groups have to accuse it of apartheid before you question the principle that Jews alone must rule? I've had enough conversations like these to predict the responses. They'd likely include references to Hamas, human shields, Iran, and anti-Semitism, coupled with expressions of regret that the cruel realities of the Middle East require Israel to protect itself in such painful ways. But the essential answer would be clear. There is no limit. No matter how many Palestinians die, they do not tip the scales because the value of a Palestinian is finite and the value of a Jewish state is infinite. Jewish tradition has a term for investing supreme value in things other than God. It is idolatry. It is among Judaism's gravest sins, one of only 3 that we must avoid even at the cost of our lives. It is not idolatrous to support a Jewish state. Leibovitz considered it idolatrous to worship a Jewish state, to elevate its value beyond that of the human beings under its control, and that idolatry suffuses contemporary Jewish life. To grasp its pervasiveness, consider the treatment of those who do not bow down. In most of the Jewish world today, rejecting Jewish statehood is a greater heresy than rejecting Judaism itself. Many American Jewish institutions also deem rejecting Jewish statehood the greatest possible sacrilege. Hillel, which serves Jewish college students, declares on its website that all kinds of students are invited and encouraged to bring their whole selves, whether students keep kosher or have never attended synagogue, whether they want to participate in Shabbat or in a study group. Synagogue and Shabbat are optional. Israel, however, constitutes a core element of Jewish life. There the tolerance ends. Speakers who delegitimize Jewish statehood are explicitly prohibited from speaking at Hillel. There is no prohibition on speakers who delegitimize God. Treating a state as a god is a very frightening endeavor. It confers upon mortals a level of veneration that we do not deserve and will always abuse. Leibovitz called it the essence of fascism. It is especially frightening when that state operates along explicitly tribal lines. This war has left around 6% of Gaza's population injured or dead. That's equivalent to more than 500,000 Israelis or 18 million Americans. If the war ended tomorrow and Gaza was rebuilt at the same pace as after previous wars, reconstruction would take 80 years. This is idolatry in practice. We have built an altar and thrown an entire society on the flames. Defending Israel at all costs doesn't only threaten American Jewish culture. It threatens American liberty. The right-leaning Zionist Organization of America has endorsed legislation that could defund America's universities. a cornerstone of any free society, if they permit anti-Zionist events on campus. In March 2024, as Donald Trump was securing the Republican nomination for president, the ADL honored his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, and justified the decision by citing Kushner's work supporting Israel. To protect Israel, the organized Jewish community in Israel and across the world is working to smear and intimidate the world's leading human rights organizations and international courts. In 2022, when Amnesty International concluded that Israel was practicing apartheid, the Anti-Defamation League attacked it for contributing to intensified anti-Semitism around the world, even though Israel's own leading human rights groups had leveled the same charge. In 2024, after a new ICC prosecutor did propose such an investigation, AIPAC applauded the House of Representatives for voting to impose sanctions not only on him, but on his two sons. This thuggery degrades the legal system born after World War II. If Israel can destroy Gaza with impunity, warns Agnes Callamard, Amnesty Secretary General, it will leave international law likely in its death throes and nothing yet to take its place save brutalist national interests and sheer greed. In our zeal to protect Israel no matter what, this is the world we're helping to create.